Season opener coming up here for the Liberty Flames men's soccer team. And for a preview of that, we visit now with the head coach of the Flames, Jeff Alder, as Liberty will welcome Bluefield to town here on Friday night at 7 o'clock. And, Coach, as we look ahead to this one here, big game for your team. I know that they're excited about it. Played a couple of scrimmages so far this year, but now it counts for real.
No, you're right. The red light goes on. That's what we talked to our guys about yesterday, and the dress rehearsals are over. We've got to be ready to perform, but our guys are excited. There's a little bit of nervous energy. We're teetering between a little bit of anxiety and a little bit of confidence, but we're right where we need to be going into this first game.
What have you found out about your team in the preseason period with a couple of scrimmages and all the practices?
I love our togetherness. I love our ability to be selfless, and we hit them yesterday with Ecclesiastes 4:9-12, talking about how two are better than one, and there's a greater reward when we do things as a team, and it's always got to be about we before me, and it talks about a cord of three strands is not easily broken, and that's what I told them yesterday. That's what we want to be about. That's what we want to be known about. But I've seen it day in and day out. So it wasn't so much me saying, hey, this is what you got to do better. I said, this is what we're seeing daily. And they're all sharing the load. We've played 24, probably 23, 24 guys already in some of these scrimmages. And everybody's pulling for the guy in their position. Everybody's trying to complete each other as opposed to compete with each other. And that's what I like about our group.
You got a lot of leadership back on this team. Some seniors, some guys that have been through the battles. But as far as the depth goes, do you feel like you've been able to develop some of that with the younger guys as well?
Oh, absolutely. Because you look at it last year, we started 5 or 6 freshmen every game and played a huge schedule. So those guys got critical minutes in critical games. And then this spring, we were able to build on that. And then now, you talk about Tim Harbison and Sachem Wilson and Khalil Carl and Blessing Tahuna. We can go on and on. That list goes on. And you've got guys who are battle-tested. And I think that's going to pay dividends down the stretch as we talk about trying to play deep into November and compete for a conference championship and then ultimately compete at the NCAA tournament level.
Very tough pre-conference schedule. You and I were talking about it a little bit before we came on here. NC State, Marshall, William and Mary, some teams that could be in the NCAA tournament. Now, opening with Bluefield here, what does that do to prepare you for those types of games?
Well, I think for us, the most important play is the next play. So it's either going to be Bluefield taking a kickoff or us taking a kickoff. And so Bluefield's a opponent we play every year. We've got a great relationship with their coaching staff. Lord willing, we'll get a chance to share the gospel with them and pray with them after the game. So that's a great game for us to go out and compete and see what we look like. But then we feel our schedule will have 5 or 6 potential NCAA tournament teams on it. As you talk about James Madison, you talk about William and Mary, you talk about Marshall and NC State, as well as the teams in our league. But we're going to see a little bit of different flavors all throughout the year, and ultimately that'll help us to be prepared down the stretch where you've got to win 2 games in 3 days. You've got to win 3 games in 5 days. And so ultimately the different styles of play, the different environments, when you talk about going down to ETSU and playing a team that's at the top of their league year in and year out. You talk about going down to Harrisonburg and playing James Madison. You talk about going to Williamsburg next week. We are putting our guys in some very tough conditions, and hopefully that'll allow us to grow and mature, get some results, and prepare for tournament play.
Now, all these home games going to be played on this new sand-based surface here that was just installed at Osborne Stadium. Really beautiful-looking surface out here. How excited are the guys for it?
Oh, it's unbelievable. I tried to convince my wife. I'm not an outdoors guy. I'm a climate control guy, when it comes to sleeping. But I tried to convince my wife to let me sleep on this thing last night and tonight just to make sure everybody stays off it until our women's team and our group gets to play on it tomorrow. But we're very blessed. We're very humbled by our administration putting hands and feet to what we're doing from a soccer standpoint. Obviously, President Falwell and Charles Spence and Alan Askew did a great job in supporting, Jeff Barber, Mickey Garritti, Brian Hinckley, who works on this tirelessly. So we're very blessed that they've allowed us to have a surface like this, and we're hoping that'll continue to allow us to attract non-conference teams here. Women's soccer's got a big game with Tennessee, but we'll have Marshall coming in here, which is a Conference USA opponent, and then you talk about next year getting James Madison here, William and Mary here. Teams that have not been to Liberty in 12, 15 years are now coming here, and a big part of that is Osborne Stadium and then this new surface.
You mentioned the Lady Flames. They're opening with Tennessee tomorrow, then the men's team in action against Bluefield tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. Coach Alder, appreciate the time. Good luck.
All right, thank you.
That's the head coach of the Liberty Flames, Jeff Alder, and my name is Nick Pierce for the Liberty Flames Sports Network.